I want to start off with a report just as we were going live that dropped into my inbox, and it's Nicolo Schira who said, exclusive, agreement in principle between Giovanni Leone and Liverpool for a contract until 2031. Liverpool are set to offer €35 million to Parma to sign him, even if the Reds could remake the same strategy until last year with Mamardashvili. Leone will stay at Parma on loan until 2026. Now, I mentioned this in the podcast I recorded earlier on with the lads, and I mentioned it in the video as well. That, to me, seems like a sensible play. Bring him in, buy him, make sure he's a Liverpool player, and keep him having his development over in Italy. I've no problems with that whatsoever, as long as we, of course, bring in Mark Gay, which it looks like we're going to do. One thing that really did stand out to me when we were speaking about the Mark Gay situation is how every journalist that's written about this today seems to be at pains to say that Liverpool have a very good relationship and have been very respectful to Crystal Palace in the way that they've gone about it. That certainly hasn't been lost on me, so I want to talk about that tonight as well. Do you know much about how Leone plays? No. No, I don't, mate. Yeah, I really don't. I know he's, 6'4", 6'5", models himself on Virgil van Dijk. That's about it for me. You know, I'll be like everybody else, watching clips, trying to find out. Certainly following his progress this season. If he does go back out on loan to Parma or to Serie A, I'll certainly be paying a lot more attention to him. But no, mate, for me, a month ago, I didn't know this dude existed, really. So now I'm definitely playing catch-up, Cameron. Right. Mark said Liverpool said no to loan. Look, either way, I don't care. You know, whether we loan them back or not, brilliant. But going out to get both of them, it just makes a massive statement, mate, in the market. And again, gives us more breathing room to see what happens with the future of Canade, because that's still unresolved as we sit here now. Said, love the future-proofing backline with the two signings, young and top quality. Aside from Salah, very young, the rest of the squad, too. Yeah, it's great planning. You know, we sat here last night and, you know, I was kind of going back and forth on, are we leaving ourselves too much to do? What's waiting? You know, what's taking so long in the centre-back situation? And then today, like clockwork, not just one, but potentially both. And at first today, when I started to see the news come up, Liam, I was wondering, you know, was it going to be one or the other? Were we working on two in case one didn't work out? But as the day went on, it became clearer and clearer that it was not one, it was probably both. So Romano said, breaking, Liverpool are close to an agreement with Crystal Palace for Mark Gay, package of around 35 million. Then we had Giovanni Leone, keen on a move to Liverpool, said Romano. Here's an interesting one from Obi Hayek, who always pops up with some good tweets. He said, I kept getting asked questions on whether Giovanni Leone will be considered homegrown. The answer is yes. If we sign him, he would be, in 3 years' time, a homegrown player. A homegrown player is, irrespective of nationality or age, has been registered with any club affiliated with the FA or Wales FA for a period, continuous or not, of 3 entire seasons, 36 months before 21st birthday. So, or the end of the year which he turns 21. So, if he stayed with us for 3 years, at the end of that 3-year period, Giovanni Leone would be considered homegrown. So, that would be one player there for the future. Mark Gay, of course, we know was homegrown as well. James Pearce has said, Mark Gay has indicated that he wants to move to Anfield, but understand Liverpool have not yet agreed personal terms with the England defender. Discussions club to club first, out of respect for Steve Parish and Palace. Do you know, Newcastle fans, have you not noticed something here? Respect, Liverpool to Crystal Palace. Respect between Liverpool and Bayern Munich. Even Bayern Munich's sporting director, Max Eberl, came out and said Liverpool were a pleasure to deal with. Very respectful, very courteous. So, again, I would argue, is it us that's the problem? Or perhaps is it you guys not knowing how to deal with a big transfer that's the problem? I think it's the latter. Then we had DiMarzio saying, Leone to Liverpool, positive contacts. The deal could see a potentially decisive acceleration in the next few hours and ultimately come to a conclusion. Parma price tag, €30 million plus bonuses. Then we had Giovanni Leone is super excited about Liverpool project. Personal terms won't be an issue. Giovanni Leone is, all capitals, convinced. And remember, Leone models himself and idolises Virgil, so he get to learn off the best. Mark Gay and Giovanni Leone said yes to Liverpool, said Fabrizio Romano. Negotiations ongoing between clubs for both players. Then we had Florian Plettenberg, who said, being told again that Liverpool's clear priority is Mark Gay. Negotiations with Crystal Palace are ongoing as the 25-year-old centre-back wants to join Liverpool. Super talented 18-year-old centre-back Giovanni Leone could also join Liverpool in this transfer window, with advanced talks taking place behind the scenes as previously revealed. Then we had Paul Joyce. As if we didn't have enough top tier journalists talking about it, Paul Joyce enters the fray and said Liverpool are advancing in talks with Crystal Palace over a deal for Mark Gay as they urgently seek defensive reinforcements. Lewis Steele said Liverpool are very close to a deal with Crystal Palace for Mark Gay. Oliver said, if we get Isak, Gay, Leone, I feel confident, but not having a pre-season is concerning. You were right. So, look, getting Isak in, he's not going to be ready until probably after the September international break. And I have been saying this for a while now. Whether he stayed at Newcastle or whether he came to Liverpool, he hasn't had a pre-season. So he is going to take time to bed in. Now, Mark Gay, I don't worry about in any way, shape or form. Don't need to, think he needs pre-seasons or whatever. He was, in my opinion, on Sunday, the best centre-back on the pitch. I'm not saying he's better than Van Dijk longer term, but what I seen on Sunday, I thought he was the best one on the pitch. So I'd have no qualms about him being ready straight away. Sam said, Gay is more consistent than Canade, although Canade is physically stronger. I think I agree. I think Mark Gay is more solid and steady than Ibrahima Canade, but I love the idea of being able to have both of them if Canade extends, because then I think we're giving our manager an incredible group of centre-backs and may the best pairing win for each game. Tom4 said Leone is watching a young VVD. So excited. Well, from my very, very limited Tom4 understanding of him, I think in previous interviews he's openly spoken about modelling some attributes of his game from Virgil, which look, isn't a surprise, is it? He is the best centre-back in world football in the past few years. Raymond King, how are you, Raymond? Said Stoke to finally see us starting to finish our business in a big way this summer window. Leone, Gay, Isak, let's go. Yeah, it's very interesting to see, and I'm just really happy, mate. I have to say, everything I've wanted Liverpool to do in this summer's transfer window, so far it looks like the plans are to do it. So let's talk about this potentially ending as a 10 out of 10 window. Would Mark Gay start ahead of VVD if he joins? Ahead of him? Not for me, no. Alongside him, perhaps, Cameron. Look, sincerely, if you have Mark Gay, Canade and Virgil van Dijk, and I mean this genuinely, any two of those three starting and I'm comfortable. Of course, we'll all have our own preferences and Virgil's our captain, but bring in Mark Gay and I am happy with any combination of the three, whether it's Mark Gay shifting to the left, Virgil moving to the right, whether it's Mark Gay and Canade, whether it's Canade and Virgil van Dijk. It's just a brilliant, brilliant group, but I wouldn't say he starts ahead of VVD, no. In the long term, maybe he is the VVD replacement. Maybe it's Mark Gay and Giovanni Leone we're talking about in 2 years' time. Hi Craig, why Kwanzaa replaced through Leone? Shouldn't sell Kwanzaa? Is Leone better, really? So it's a really tough question for me to answer, Lolly, because I don't know all that much about Leone. But it feels like Liverpool think Leone is more likely to become one of the next great players at centre-back, and they're unsure about Kwanzaa's. But we have covered our ass there because, of course, we do have the buyback option in Kwanzaa's contract. But I don't think Jarell Kwanzaa is going to turn into a top 10 centre-back in Europe. I just don't. I think he'll be a good player, but the club must feel that the ceiling is higher for Leone. But like I said, I'm not the one to give you a fair answer on that because I don't know too much about him.